One SUV hasn't changed in 15 years because Toyota decided it was already perfect. Another one's got an engine built to survive African savannas. Your mechanic doesn't want you watching this. These are the 10 SUVs that'll bankrupt your mechanic because they simply refuse to brake. Number 10. Subaru Outback, 2017 to 2021. Subaru actually climbed to the very top of Consumer Reports' brand reliability rankings, scoring a 68 and edging out Toyota. The Outback is a big reason why, and for Canadians driving through brutal winters, this one makes a lot of sense. It's built around Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive system, which sounds like marketing language until you realize it's a fully mechanical setup with minimal electronics involved. No complex clutch packs, no failure-prone sensors, just proven hardware that handles snow, ice, gravel, and everything in between without drama. The naturally aspirated engines in this generation don't carry the stress points that turbocharged setups introduce, which is one of the main reasons these things stay out of repair shops. Annual maintenance runs around $400, genuinely low when you factor in that real all-weather capability comes completely standard. Earlier Subarus had a head gasket reputation, but that issue was largely sorted out in the modern generation. People describe the maintenance experience as minimal to almost non-existent, and for anyone who's ever been stranded on a highway in February, that peace of mind is worth every dollar of the purchase price. Number 9. Honda CR-V, 2017 to present. Number 9 is the Honda CR-V, and this one has quietly become one of the most trusted SUVs on Canadian roads, and for good reason. Mechanics who work on these regularly say the same thing over and over. Owners show up just for oil changes, even well past 150,000 miles. The 1.5-liter turbocharged engine makes 190 horsepower and delivers solid efficiency at 28 city and 34 highway, which matters when you're filling up in a country where fuel prices don't mess around. The 2017 and 2018 cold climate models had an early oil dilution issue, but Honda addressed it through software updates and extended warranties. The 2019 models onward had the fix applied straight from the factory, and those are the ones mechanics specifically point to when someone asks what to buy. RepairPal gives the CR-V a 4.0 out of 5.0 reliability score, with annual maintenance averaging just $477. The CVT transmission, which is usually what buyers worry about, has proven surprisingly durable in Honda's application, with owners routinely reporting 250,000 to 300,000 miles on completely original drivetrains. CarEdge puts 10-year maintenance costs at roughly $6,500, sitting well below most competitors. It won't make your neighbors jealous in the driveway, but when it's still running perfectly, while flashier options are being towed to junkyards, the CR-V quietly wins the only competition that actually matters. Number 8. Mazda CX-5, 2017 to present. Back in 2010, Mazda was in serious financial trouble and close to collapse. They couldn't afford warranty claims. They couldn't afford recalls. Every vehicle had to be right the first time, or the company simply wouldn't survive. So they developed SkyActiv technology with an almost obsessive focus on durability, and the CX-5 is that entire philosophy made real and drivable. RepairPal ranks it as the #1 most reliable mid-size SUV out of 26 competitors. Not second, not top 5, first place. The reliability score sits at 4.5 out of 5.0. Annual repair costs average just $447, and the probability of a severe repair is only 8% compared to 13% for the rest of the class. Mazda owners bring their vehicles in for unscheduled repairs just 0.3 times per year, which is 25% less than the industry average. The 2.5-liter SkyActiv engine uses a timing chain instead of a belt, eliminating one of the most common expensive maintenance surprises in other vehicles. CarEdge puts 10-year maintenance costs at just $7,574, lower than nearly every competitor in the segment. If you want a midsize SUV that simply stops asking for your money, this is it. Number 7. Lexus NX 300h. This is flagged as the cheapest Lexus to maintain, with an average annual cost of just $327. Read that again. a legitimate luxury SUV that costs less per year to keep running than most economy cars. The NX pairs Lexus refinement with Toyota's proven hybrid technology, specifically the same system used in the RAV4 hybrid, and this isn't some experimental setup. Toyota and Lexus have been developing this exact drivetrain for over 2 decades across millions of vehicles worldwide. Regenerative braking means brake pads last dramatically longer than they would on a conventional vehicle, and since the engine isn't running constantly, internal wear happens at a far slower rate. The hybrid battery, which people always bring up as a concern, has a track record that makes those worries look completely outdated. Owners consistently report the NX feeling just as tight and composed at 100,000 miles as the day they picked it up. No rattles, no squeaks, nothing that gradually chips away at the driving experience. And when you do bring it in for the rare scheduled service, you're walking into a Lexus dealership with loaner vehicles and top-ranked customer service. The whole ownership experience is designed to be painless, not just the driving. Number 6. Acura MDX, 2013 to 2024. It's one of the most overlooked names when reliability conversations come up, which is honestly a shame. Mechanics who work on luxury SUVs consistently rank it as the most dependable 3-row in its class, better than the Audi Q7, better than the BMW X5, and it isn't particularly close. Under the hood is Honda's J-Series 3.5-liter V6, the same basic architecture refined since 1996 across millions of units. Every failure mode has been identified and corrected over decades of real-world data. It makes 290 horsepower, and while it uses a timing belt that needs replacement at 100,000 miles, a known and schedulable maintenance item beats a sudden catastrophic failure every single time. The 2020 and later models came with revised transmission hardware that mechanics describe as essentially bulletproof. Here's what really makes the MDX a smart long-term buy, though. It's a Honda underneath the Acura badge, so parts are accessible and affordable in a way German competitors simply aren't. A water pump job that runs $600 on an Audi Q7 costs $300 here. Brake pads that are $450 on a BMW X5 are $200 on the MDX. You're getting a vehicle built to genuine luxury standards and serviced at Honda prices, and that gap adds up to serious money saved over the years. Number 5. Toyota RAV4, 2017 to 2025. If you were designing the perfect everyday SUV around one single principle, never needing a mechanic, you'd land right here. The RAV4 leads reliability surveys across multiple independent sources year after year, and the reason isn't complicated. Toyota built it around a conservative, proven powertrain and then refined that powertrain across millions of units over multiple generations. The 2.5-liter 4-cylinder is deliberately understressed for its size, and that matters more than people realize. When an engine operates comfortably within its limits rather than being pushed toward its maximum, wear happens at a dramatically slower rate. The hybrid version pairs that engine with Toyota's electric motor system, the same technology developed and proven in the Prius over 2 decades, and it adds impressive fuel efficiency without adding a single point of fragility to the equation. RAV4s are among the vehicles most likely to exceed 200,000 miles, and Consumer Reports consistently hands it above average to excellent reliability marks. What really tells the story is what RAV4 owners aren't talking about. They're not sitting in waiting rooms at dealerships. They're not sharing frustrating repair stories. They're just driving the same vehicle they bought 10 years ago and going about their lives. Number 4. Toyota Highlander, 2014 to present. This is genuinely the kind of vehicle families buy once and then pass down. The 3.5-liter V6 is the same engine family used in the Camry, the Sienna, and the Lexus RX, a powertrain perfected across millions of units in multiple product lines. It makes 295 horsepower without ever feeling like it's working hard, and the 8-speed automatic transmission is an ISN unit that transmission shops report virtually 0 failures on. The mechanic guidance is straightforward. Change the fluid every 60,000 kilometers, and this transmission will simply outlast the vehicle around it. Parts availability is another massive advantage because the Highlander shares components with the Camry, the RAV4, and the Sienna. A water pump costs $150. Brake pads run $70. Compare that to luxury SUVs where the same jobs cost 2 or 3 times as much. You can get annual maintenance at just $489, and the hybrid battery regularly lasts past 200,000 miles. Data shows 31% of Highlander hybrids reach that milestone, which is a remarkable number for a 3-row family hauler. Mechanics put it plainly: buy a Highlander and stop thinking about your vehicle. It'll start every cold February morning without complaint, and in 15 years, when everything else is long gone, it'll still be moving families around without a fuss. Number 3. Lexus RX 350, 2016 to present. This is what people buy when they genuinely don't want to hear from their mechanic ever again. Mechanics who work on luxury SUVs point to the RX without hesitation when someone asks what to buy, and the reason goes deeper than brand reputation. The 3.5-liter V6 is Toyota's proven architecture, and 200,000 miles on the original engine is routine here rather than exceptional. But what truly separates the RX from everything else in the luxury segment is what Lexus does at the component level that nobody ever talks about. The suspension bushings are oversized. The electrical connectors are gold-plated to fight corrosion. The wiring harnesses are heavier gauge than technically required, so they handle current without generating heat damage. None of this shows up on a spec sheet, but it's exactly what determines whether a vehicle holds up for 15 years or becomes a money pit. The interior durability backs all of it up. The leather is tanned with UV protection built in. The plastics are high-grade polymers that don't get brittle with age and heat the way cheaper materials do. Annual costs come out at $550 compared to over $870 for a BMW X5. Over a full decade of ownership, that gap becomes thousands of dollars saved, all while driving something that genuinely feels more refined to live with every single day. Number 2. Toyota 4Runner, 2010 to present. Here's the thing about this truck. It's been fundamentally unchanged for 15 years, and that isn't laziness. It's Toyota looking at what they built, deciding it was already right, and refusing to introduce new problems into something that wasn't broken. While competitors redesigned every few years and introduced fresh issues with each generation, the 4Runner just kept going. The 4.0-liter 5.6 has achieved near-mythical status among mechanics. It uses a timing chain, it runs cool, it operates well within its capability limits, and it doesn't break. Toyota Nation Forum members document 300,000 to 400,000 mile examples routinely, with several confirmed cases pushing past 500,000 miles. The transmission is deliberately simple, chosen for durability over efficiency, and the body-on-frame construction means it absorbs trail abuse, towing, and rough terrain without stressing the structure in ways that cause long-term damage. For Canadians who actually use their SUV on anything other than paved roads, this matters enormously. Annual maintenance is at just $514, which is remarkably low for a body-on-frame truck-based SUV. J.D. Power scores consistently exceed 85 out of 100. Fuel economy isn't great, and the interior doesn't compete with modern crossovers. But when yours is still running strong at 300,000 kilometers while newer alternatives are being scrapped, none of that will bother you even slightly. Number 1. Lexus GX460, 2010 to 2023. This SUV shares its DNA with vehicles trusted by the United Nations to survive active war zones. Your highway commute isn't even a warm-up for this engine. The GX460 is essentially a Toyota Land Cruiser Prado wrapped in premium leather, and beneath that refined exterior is body-on-frame construction with 14 mounting points, a drivetrain built to run for decades, and engineering designed to handle the world's most extreme environments without complaint. The 4.6-liter V8 comes from Toyota's UR engine family, the same architecture used in the Tundra and Land Cruiser. Port injection means no carbon buildup. Cast iron block construction means extreme long-term durability. Timing chain means you'll never spend $1 on belt replacement. Transmission shops that specialize in high-mileage vehicles report GX transmissions running past 400,000 miles on nothing but fluid changes. The interior is built to a standard most manufacturers quietly abandoned years ago. The leather is 2 millimeters thick, nearly double what most vehicles use. The switchgear is tested for 20 years of daily operation without failure. And that's not marketing language, that's the engineering specification. It's rated among the most reliable vehicles sold in America, with scores reaching 91 out of 100. Mechanics say it plainly and consistently: if you can afford the fuel, the GX460 will outlast you. That's not a compliment, it's just the truth. 10 SUVs. Zero reasons to be on a first-name basis with your mechanic. While the average driver is spending $652 a year on repairs and pulling into a shop 1.5 times annually, owners of these vehicles are basically just rotating their tires and moving on with their lives. The pattern's clear: proven engineering, conservative powertrains, and manufacturers who chose durability over chasing trends. Drop your favorite in the comments and subscribe, because the next list is already going to make this one look tame.